Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Chad here with Iraq Veteran 8888, and today we've got another Gun Gripe episode for you. And unless you've been living under a rock, you know what's been going on, and you know what we're probably going to be complaining about today. We've been kind of sitting back and letting some of the facts roll in and letting some things occur and not occur, I guess, if you want to say it that way. And just kind of see where our stance is on the whole thing. And today we're definitely going to be talking a little bit about the NRA and the stance that they have taken against bump stocks. And you know, they've just really not taken a hardline stance for the Second Amendment. And it's very disappointing. And then also now, President Trump, you know, basically getting right behind the NRA and saying, yeah, we need to ban bump stocks, we need to do this, we need to do that. There's some things that he's saying that make sense. There's other things that are like, whoa, hang on a second. So, you know, we do have some recent tweets of his that we're going to share with you, and literally within hours of when we are making this video, these tweets have occurred. So, guys, if you're watching this video, I don't know, sometime in the future from now, you know, make sure you're staying on top of this, and we really need to be contacting our reps because midterms are coming up, and we got to make sure these rhinos and these people that are going to cave in on the Second Amendment, we got to make sure we hold those people accountable, okay, guys, because they got to know that their jobs are at risk. And, you know, there's a lot of Republicans that are jumping ship and they're getting scared and they're caving in to pressure from the other side. And it's very, very bad.
Better believe they still got an A+ rating with the NRA.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So Trump's not being too good right now, okay? And neither is the NRA. But, you know, I believe that there's a bit of political pandering going on to some degree. I believe that Trump is trying to play both sides a little bit. I'm not saying that's bad or a good thing, but I'm just, from my observations, it seems like he's trying to kind of appease the other side a little bit. Maybe a part of that which he thinks is his constituents, perhaps. And he's also pandering to the NRA, who, of course, gave him an A+ rating. He got the gun vote because of the NRA's good graces, and a lot of us kind of, unfortunately, sort of fell into that a bit, you know, because, oh, well, if the NRA says that they're A+, then they ought to be. But what happened earlier, Rand Paul got an F rating from the NRA. He's not he's not 2A enough. Come on, really? Rand Paul?
He just doesn't play the game.
He just doesn't play the game. He's actually the perfect guy for the Second Amendment, Rand Paul and his father, Ron Paul, which we're going to talk about some legislation that has been on the books since '07 that, of course, hasn't gained any steam because I guess the Paul family doesn't play their crooked politics. All right, anyway, we're going to get to that. First, let's share some tweets. Fired up. From President Trump. And, you know, we're going to try to see both sides of the equation, but I have a hardline, no compromise stance on the Second Amendment. We're going to make some points on this that I feel are pretty important, and I think that they're failing to recognize here. Okay, so 3 hours ago, President Trump said, "What many people don't understand or don't want to understand is that Wayne, Chris, and the folks who work so hard at the NRA are great people and great American patriots. They love our country and will do the right thing, make America great again." Okay, whatever. 4 hours ago, he said, "I will be strongly pushing comprehensive background checks with an emphasis on mental health. I will raise the age to 21. I'm assuming to buy long guns and shotguns, he's wanting people to be 21 instead of the now required 18 years of age. We're going to get to that in a minute. And in the sale of bump stocks. That's right. He's saying that he wants stricter background checks, you know, and emphasis on mental health. He wants to raise the gun buying age of a long gun or a shotgun to 21, and he wants to end the sale of bump stocks. Congress is in the mood to finally do something on this issue, I hope. All right, and this is Trump's words. All right, now, 4 hours ago, he also made another tweet. Now, this one makes some more sense, okay? This is what we've all been calling for from the very beginning, okay? Trump said, if. Now, these are Trump's words, guys, okay? So try to... I mean, he's clacking away. I get it. Okay, so if a potential sicko shooter knows that a school has a large number of very weapons-talented teachers and others, in parentheses, who will be instantly shooting, the sicko will never attack that school. Cowards won't go there. Problem solved. Must be on the offensive. Defensive alone won't work. Okay, that's correct. We've been saying that forever. Forever we've been saying. And all of us, and folks like us, like Tim at Military Arms Channel, Mr. Guns and Gear, all of us, we've always preached that having teachers armed in schools is a crucial first step Not the only step, but a first step to ensuring that our children are safe. Guys, we protect our banks, we protect our airports, we protect our hospitals, we protect all of these other assets.
Federal
buildings, courthouses, they all get armed protection. So you're going to turn over your children to a person that, let's face it, a lot of you probably haven't even met some of the teachers that your kids, you know, we're in these busy worlds where people ain't got time to meet teachers anymore. You probably don't even know the person anyway. So you're going to trust your children to go and sit with that person and to know that they're going to be safe and that teacher would protect them in the same way that you would. Think about how insane that is. How insane it is to think that's just completely acceptable in society. Oh, well, everything else is protected, but not the most important, irreplaceable asset in our everyday lives. Dare I say, more important than our very lives is the lives and furthering the education of our children and keep them in a safe and conducive learning environment. Come on. That's the dumbest thing ever. I know Chad probably wants to chime in on some of this. I know, I'm sorry, I'm talking.
I mean, I've got kids in school, and I think about it all the time. I'm just like a lot of parents out there. You know, what if there's some crazy, you know, butthole who decides, oh, I'm just going to go to this soft target here.
A sicko.
A sicko. And, you know, he's just going to do something bad. I mean, there's nothing to stop him. You know, oh, the police are only, you know, minutes away. Yeah, well, the act might be over in 30 seconds or a minute or so.
That's right.
You know? But we've been advocating for armed teachers for a long time. We've been talking about it for years.
That's right.
And there's representatives out there in the House and in the Senate who have been talking about it since the 90s. Like Thomas Massey here, he wants to repeal the Gun-Free School Zones Act that was passed in 1990. Ron Paul, back in 2007, introduced a bill to do just the same, and that's what just hasn't gained any traction. But now it's being talked about again.
And it needs to.
If you want sensible legislation, end gun-free zones. End soft targets. This is the same kind of stuff that happened in San Bernardino.
There's a bunch of veterans, former retired police officers, former detectives, former firemen, former paramedics. All these guys are retired, probably sitting around, and they would love to be responsible for protecting our children. You better believe it. There's a bunch of retired veterans that would probably love to earn a little bit of extra money and would love to have the feeling of knowing that they're protecting the children of this country, and give those folks a job. You know, a lot of them are already good with guns. I don't understand how hard it is. And even Trump himself said that roughly 20% of our teaching force is comprised of former military personnel. They've been trained on weapons. Give them a dang gun. Give them a badge. Deputize them.
Well, look.
Deputize them. Give them arrest powers.
I don't remember.
And give them a gun.
I don't remember where I saw it, but I was watching a few things. I was reading a few articles the other day, just kind of researching everything that's been going on. And there was a story that was put out by a news program or whatever, but it was about New Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a ton of schools in New Mexico where there are armed teachers on the staff. And they were going around and they were showing their carry pieces and stuff. It's like, are you armed? Are you armed? Are you armed? They were interviewing the students. It's like, do you feel safer knowing that your teacher has a firearm, you know, to defend this classroom? And they all agreed, yes, we feel much safer. We need more of that sort of mentality all across the country.
Agreed.
You know, but states' rights. New Mexico has laws in place to allow that. Some states do not, and it's certainly not available on a federal level.
There are so many instances where even students themselves, let's say college students, for instance, where a college student may have a carry permit and have licensing and everything they need, and they're law-abiding people, but their campus doesn't allow carry. So what do? They're law-abiding people. They leave their gun at home. They leave their gun in the car. Whatever the extent of what they're allowed to do, they do. And then what happens? Like that one story of the young lady getting assaulted because she could not have her gun. And then what happened? The guy went on after assaulting her and assaulted and killed another young woman. That young woman would be alive if the other young lady, and I'm being very general in my terms because I'm trying not to use certain words in this video. I don't want to offend anybody. But that young lady, if she was allowed to defend herself, might have stopped that creep right there, and then he wouldn't have went and killed somebody.
There's also another underlying issue with that I completely agree with Trump on. you know, about immigration and such, because that's what caused that whole issue was our immigration system, and that's a big can of worms and a topic for something else another day. But,
you don't see everybody crying for justice for her.
My thing is, like, I like Trump. I like his demeanor. I like what he's doing for the most part, but there's certain things that we just can't agree with him on.
Right.
I mean, what are you doing?
All right, so here's part of my issue. Okay, so he says he wants stricter background checks. All right, we already have a background check system in place. Okay, it's already very comprehensive. We don't need, what do you mean more background checks? So who is going to determine what those criteria are going to be? So now all of a sudden, what, if you're a military veteran who's seen combat, now all of a sudden, oh, you can't be trusted with a gun because you might go off the handle and hurt somebody? No, that's not a very good reason. Oh, or maybe your dad perhaps was an alcoholic. All right, well, maybe you'll become an alcoholic. So since you have a family history of alcoholism, guess what? You can't own a gun. Or maybe you're bound to a wheelchair and you can't handle your own affairs and you need assistance. Oh, well, you can't own a gun because you're not able or whatever. You know, who's going to define that criteria? Is it going to be somebody who is completely neutral in this whole situation? Or is it going to be somebody who gets to a point where they go, oh, well, we want more gun control, so we're going to make the criteria really dumb? Have you ever witnessed an accident at work where someone got hurt? Guess what? You've seen a traumatic event, and now you can't be trusted with a gun because you might go off the handle and hurt yourself or someone else.
There's no telling how.
What are the criteria going to be? That's the issue. So, for one, we already have extensive background checks, okay? So, you know,
if people don't think that the background check system actually works now, try to go buy a gun and all right, well, I'm just not going to fill out a 4473. Well, okay, well, you're not getting a gun.
The Second Amendment is just as much of a right. The Second Amendment is not a privilege, okay? It's a right. So is that to say that if by me speaking my mind that I now have to pass, okay, so First Amendment rights, all right, the right to free speech, okay? So to make this video, I now have to go through an exam and pass a board, a review, and I have to get all these mental health checks to make sure that what I'm saying lines up with their political goals and what they have to say about the world and everything. So, oh, well, this guy might say something we don't like. We can't allow that. So what, we have to have a special license to speak our mind? I mean, the Second Amendment is exactly the same right. It's the only right that is treated in that manner, that is pushed around and bullied. And people want to just make this big deal about it. But ultimately, the people have a right to defend themselves, and they have a right to be armed toe-to-toe with anybody that would do them harm, including their own. And that's the big key here. Most of us in the Second Amendment community, 95% of us are all awesome people that just want to protect ourselves and our communities. We've said it time and time again. In fact, one of the coaches had a permit to carry a firearm. Did he have his gun with him? Nope. And unfortunately, he's now gone. Could he have shot the guy? Yes, absolutely. He could have. But because of political backstabbing and because dirty pool and all these behind doors deals that go on and all this elbow rubbing and all this political correct pandering that we have to put up with because people can't understand the reality of the world that we live in and the reality of what real people want on a regular basis, we lost that person because people's feelings get hurt too easy, because people can't understand the reality of the world we live in. And the reality is that people with guns rule the world, not people that want to give up guns, okay?
Oh, well, there's no guns here? Oh, I feel much safer.
Right, so if somebody does come in and shoot up your gun-free zone, who are you going to call? Are you going to call a guy that doesn't have a gun? No, you're going to call a guy with a gun. It's so dumb. Why not have everybody with guns so that person can immediately react to the situation? The police are going to take 8 to 10 minutes to respond and get there.
Oh, but Eric, we need to just get rid of all guns anyways. We wouldn't have these problems.
All right. Here's my major issue, and I'm going to go over the last bullet point here. And I'm sorry, Chad. I want to mention this.
I'm enjoying it.
Okay. So Trump wants to say, all right, you have to be 21 to buy a long gun. All right. Well, you have to be 18 to serve your country. Okay. So wait a minute. So an 18-year-old is good enough to send overseas and put a rifle in his hand and ask him to die for you, but he ain't good enough to go in a gun shop and buy a gun and take advantage of the very rights that he's defending for you? I mean, okay, when I went to Iraq, I was 20 years old. I wasn't even old enough to go in a bar and order a beer yet, okay? That one hits really close to me. So that's my government telling me, we'll go put you on a Humvee behind a Ma Deuce. We will give you a machine gun, a big belt-fed 50 cal machine gun. We'll give you a handgun. We'll give you an AR. We'll let you run a 120 millimeter mortar that will blow up a house. And you're 20 years old. Okay, we'll let you be a truck commander at 20 years old and have all this responsibility. But no matter what, oh, you can't buy a gun till you're 21 though. Oh, no. And by the way, since you went over there and you might have saw a couple of bad things.
We're not going to buy guns anyway.
We're not going to let you buy guns anyway because you are not capable of owning a gun because you might hurt someone or hurt yourself or whatever. Mm-hmm. That is the most un-American thing I can possibly think of. So, you know what? You're gonna send your men, women, and children. You're gonna send your young people over there to go fight your wars at 18, but then go, oh, you're not good enough to drink a beer or own a gun? Whatever.
Well, my thing is,
whatever. I don't want to hear it.
I agree with Representative Massey. You know, what his response was to Trump about the whole lowering or raising the age to be able to purchase a long gun is, all right, we should lower the age to purchase a handgun to 18 because of the reasons that Eric mentioned. Plus, there's, all right, how many, he made the example of single mothers out there. I mean, how many women out there with a child or children don't have a man in the household or anything like that, and they need some form of personal protection, something to make them feel a little bit better about being alone, maybe a rough neighborhood, wherever the case is, or just in general. It doesn't really matter. So what? Lower it to 18.
The problem,
whatever.
I think part of the problem, things are a little different now than the way they used to be. When I was 18, I mean, look, I'm about to tell you guys something that some people are not going to be happy about, but I feel like I need to mention this because it's important, okay? You know, in school, you know what I mean? When I was 18 years old, 17 years old, and in high school and just doing my thing, and Chad knows because we went to the same high school. We're not going to mention where, it doesn't matter. Let's just say rural America high school. When we went to high school, I can't speak for him, but me, you know, I was a recluse. I didn't have a lot of friends. I was a teacher's pet. I was a dang nerd. I was always in good with the teachers. And you know what?
I was about the same. I was a band nerd. So.
I was one of those students that if the teacher said, hey, who wants to staple all these papers together for me? You know who would raise their hand first? It'd be me. I'd go back there and I'd staple those pages to help that teacher out. Well, one time I was going to staple some pages. He said, yeah, it's in the bottom drawer on the right-hand side. Open the drawer, the butt of a Model 10 sticking out from underneath a pile of papers. And because I was a gun person, because I was raised around guns, I knew that was a Smith & Wesson Model 10 in his desk. All right. Well, he looked over at me, and I think he knew that I knew that he knew that he knew that I knew. All right. Well, anyway, he says, Eric, come see me after class, please. And I stapled his paper. I got retrieved the stapler like he asked me to. I stapled his papers together, and he said, look, you have to know that if you tell anybody that that's there, I will lose my job. You know that, right? I said,
what are you talking about?
No, I'm not, yeah. Because I knew that he was an honorable man, a good man, and I knew why that stuff was there, why it was there, okay? And guys, look, that's not uncommon, okay? There's a lot of guns floating around that the teachers are bringing to school even though they shouldn't be. Now, it was not apparent by what happened recently, but trust me, they are out there, and there are some teachers that are like, you know what, we don't give a crap what the rules are because at the end of the day, I'm going to do what I need to do to protect my students.
At the end of the day, their life and the lives of their students are more important than damn anything else.
But why should someone be in fear of losing their job just because they're trying to be proactive and do the right thing? They should be empowered to do that. They should be deputized and given arrest powers. They should receive training. They should receive training ammunition so they can shoot and train. They should receive holsters. They should receive a duty gun that the school buys if they so choose. Give them and empower them to take care of those students and to be a role model for those students because we trust our educators with so much. We can't trust them with their students' lives. I mean, you're crafting the very lives they're going to live. So why shouldn't they have an ability to protect the students?
Yep.
It's the craziest thing ever. Why people just can't accept the reality of the world for what it is. They have armed teachers in Israel. Do they shoot up schools in Israel? No. No, they don't. No, they don't, do they?
wouldn't be
They
stupid
profile
enough to do that.
people at the airports in Israel.
Oh, but profiling's wrong, though, here.
They have armed people and they profile the crap out of people. Does anybody blow up planes in Israel?
But,
No.
Eric, that's unconstitutional to profile.
Anyway.
But,
Point is...
Look, I echo everything that Eric says. I mean, you guys know that. Now, just so you know, if you want to do something, call your local reps. Or listen to me, call your local reps. Call your reps. Call your state senators and your House of Representatives, representatives in Congress. I can't even talk today. I'm so flustered about all this mess. Call them and tell them to support Massey's bill, H.R. 34, the Safe Students Act, and get these gun-free zones out of here. This will basically repeal the 1990 bill that created these gun-free zones that were, at the time, wholly unconstitutional and fought in court for a number of years, and then actually parts of the bill were fixed or replaced or whatever the case is back in 96, but it's still a piece of crap. Gun-free zones are a piece of crap. You know, they really are. You can't have a gun within 1,000 feet of the school. Well, all right, so I'm driving by the school. Well, I'm within 1,000 feet of it. I'm not going to the school, but I'm just driving on the road that the school's on. Well, technically, you're breaking the law. Did you know that?
I'm going to mention one last thing.
Technically.
I'm going to mention one last thing about this, and I'm angry about this because it's not dang fair, okay?
We're both angry about it.
So the NRA is playing political volleyball with our rights, which is bad to begin with, and Trump, because he's probably trying to appease both sides, and because the NRA gave him this wonderful backing that I'm sure contributed to him getting a good portion of the gun vote, obviously if the NRA says, hey, do this, then he's going to do it because he kind of is obligated, you know, to some degree. He has to please his constituents, and the NRA crowd is part of, you know, his constituents in his mind. I mean, whether we like it or not, that's reality. But the other part of it is, why are they discussing all of these ways to erode our rights when there's clearly many good pro-gun things on the table right now that they can do? We should be choosing from pro-gun legislation like picking off a dang Taco Bell menu. Ought to be able to go number 1, number 4, out of here, by National Carry Reciprocity, Hearing Protection Act, you know, Share Act, all of those things. Why are we not getting the pro-gun things that we've been harping and complaining and asking for all this time? It's just crazy that, are we living in a reality right now, today, where the NRA is backing anti-gun stuff, no matter what their logic might be for trying to go, oh, well, you know, getting back on the bump stock thing, oh, well, we have to regulate bump stocks, nobody should have it. What does an inanimate device have to do with anything? The murder is still illegal today, right now. It's illegal to murder somebody. It doesn't matter if you use a claw hammer, if you use a gun, if you use a car, and someone who is intent on it is going to do whatever they want to do regardless of the tools at their disposal. They're going to drive a truck through a crowd like they did over in France. They're going to do anything they want because evil people will commit evil no matter what. So murder was illegal today when we woke up, and it's still going to be illegal tomorrow. But going after firearms is just the dumbest thing ever. It just drives me nuts, the position that the NRA is taking on this right now, and they are really screwing us over. And I can understand some of the president's points. You have to be fair, you know, give credit where it's due. Like, I agree, yes, let's arm our teachers. Absolutely arm our teachers, completely, okay? Let's increase the amount of security that we have at the schools. Okay, I don't know, whatever you want to do in that regard. I'm not saying turn the schools into a prison, but increase the security, make people feel safer. I mean, you do it everywhere else, why not the schools? I mean, even churches have armed people in their congregations now because they understand that the world we live in, unfortunately, some people do stupid things. But the nature of the Second Amendment is that you can't take someone's rights away to protect every single person, because the outlaws, the bad people that are always going to have guns no matter what, are going to hurt people all they want. And no matter what you tell the honest, law-abiding person that he can and can't do, it's not going to stop the bad people from doing what they do. So the answer is not unarming honest, hard-working Americans who pay their taxes, they work, they get up and they work hard, and they take care of their families, they love their kids, and all they want to do is protect the life. They want to go out and hunt and fish and have fun. They want to go out and target shoot 3-gun. They want to go shoot clays with their grandkids. They want to protect their wife when they're at home. They want to not live as a victim. They refuse to accept that reality. They refuse to be a victim, and you can't take away someone's right to not be a victim. And the Second Amendment is the cornerstone of that idea.
Well, you know, they could always repeal the Second Amendment. I mean, that's the big ticket thing, but yeah, I'd like to see that happen.
No, they're not doing that.
I'd love to see that happen. That would be very interesting. But the thing is, all right, we got to take the Second Amendment away because guns are bad and gun control works. Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
all right,
so all the criminals are going to give them up first.
So yeah, all right. So what happens when they get rid of the Second Amendment and then they got to come door to door and confiscate millions of firearms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You know what'll happen?
We'll be seeing.
What'll happen? What'll happen is the bad guys will go, oh my God, they just repealed the Second Amendment. I can't have a gun anymore. Oh crap, I'm a criminal.
What was I doing?
I'm a criminal. Oh, and criminals don't care. That's why we all have to be.
The thing is, at that point, there'll be a lot more of us that are criminals, I'm sure.
Well,
but one of the other things that really pissed me off, I mean,
that's my major point.
I know. Eric's fired up. I'm fired up. Like I said before, I echo everything he says. We talked about this already, and it's just, you guys know where we're coming from. But one of my issues with this whole situation is, the FBI, the whole story with the FBI being tipped off about this guy in Florida.
Thank you. I forgot about
that. The whole deal with the FBI
Let's get back to background checks, and you finish your point there.
Tipped off about this guy and his erratic behavior, the crazy social media posts. It's like this guy has guns or has a gun or whatever, and I'm kind of thinking this dude's crazy, and you might want to check him out because I'm worried that he's going to do something stupid.
He was reported.
And
the system failed because the system's like, oh, we're too busy worrying about Russia, and
Trump
we're too busy.
Or whatever.
We're too busy with our political pandering to worry about
whatever they were doing. They could have easily put in a call to like the Miami field office and just sent somebody out to find this guy. I mean, the guy used his real name on social media. It wasn't like they had to dig very deep. They've got people in vans that ride around who hack into this kind of stuff.
The cops have been out to his house like 20 times every year for like the last 3 years. I mean, the cops knew who the guy was. If you said, oh, that guy, oh, you mean that guy? You go down there.
You want to talk about a failure in the system, there it is.
Right, so they're asking to, and getting back to background checks, what they're wanting, what they're imposing is that, oh, let's increase the mental health requirements, let's do this, let's make stricter background checks.
Yeah, but like
the system you have in place, you're not even using right. So why do you want to create more bureaucracy for something you're not even doing the job correctly to begin with? The departments obviously are failing. They're not doing their job. They're not doing a good enough job on the current standards. Oh, well, how do we fix that? Let's make more standards. Oh, that's really, really smart.
Yeah. Regulate into oblivion.
Regulate into oblivion. They already aren't doing their jobs.
Dude,
so you're going to make it worse?
I mean, it kills me. And,
and then Trump, who gets to decide?
Yeah, Trump tweeted about that whole deal, and he caught a lot of flack for that. But I mean, it's the freaking truth. Yeah. It is the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts. But I mean, what are you supposed to do?
Well, look, I'll say this. I do strongly, and people probably give me some flack for saying this, but I do strongly believe that Trump's an honorable guy. I think that, he has, a little bit of an issue with like his tweets, like whoever's like approving his tweets or helping him, like maybe he needs to think a little more.
Anybody's approving him. He's just like, he's going in the corner like,
look, Mr. President, please stop using damn Twitter. Please, just stop tweeting, man.
I'm going to use Twitter bigly today.
Bigly? Well,
bigly today.
Look, a lot of people ask all the time, like, what do you like about Trump? Why do you like him? Why do you like him? Well, the thing is, at least he is kind of open and honest. He's not afraid to make people mad. And sometimes you need a guy who's willing to just go, sorry.
Look, I'll be honest. I love the man's actions so far on most things. I like the America First policy. Like, let's stop sending money overseas and let's focus on getting stuff done here at home. Like our infrastructure. Yeah. Let's focus on the things that matter here, not 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 miles away. on stuff that doesn't affect people here, Americans. Let's fix our immigration system. Let's build a freaking wall.
The fact of the matter is that when you're talking the office of the presidency.
But don't screw the Second Amendment.
You're not talking about an office that is a simple thing.
No.
When you take the office of presidency, there's all these people pulling at you from every direction. You got the mob to man action, and then you got the NRA guys. You got people like us that obviously, we're not going to give a single inch. We have zero compromise on the Second Amendment. So when you're President Trump, and I am in no way trying to justify all the things he said. All I'm trying to do is just look at all different sides of the spectrum. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. So when you're the president and you've got these people complaining, these people complaining, these people complaining, and they're all different directions pulling you, who do you agree with? Well, I think from his perspective, he's probably trying to see a little bit of everybody's side and trying to find a middle ground.
I think there's some
which we should not be required to do because it's the Second Amendment. This is not,
there's
parking
some details that he is kind of skipping over, but the whole bump stock thing just kills me because all right, well, let's just change the definition of a machine gun to include bump stocks. Well, all right, well, what else can we put on that list? Let's go.
Yeah.
All right.
Or the problem with the bump stock thing is that, okay, well, they say that a rate increasing device is a bump stock. Well, a rate increasing device could be your trigger finger. It could be a special 3-gun trigger from Geisley. It could be a lightweight bolt carrier group. It could be a higher capacity magazine. So
we've been talking about this for months.
The issue is, this is nothing new. We've been talking about it. The issue is, if they get their way on bump stocks, it's going to open up the doors for the next anti-gun president, super anti-gun president, which now I'm wondering if Trump is not exactly as pro-gun as he claims that he is, or the NRA especially claims that he is, but the next super piece of crap that comes in and wants to just go blah, 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 with a paintbrush across all the different bills, like, yeah, anti-gun this, anti-gun that. Yeah, the Ruby Rod, with the red paint. Which is a great movie, by the way.
It's a great movie.
Fifth Element. It's a wonderful movie. Anyway, but the issue is we get that guy in, or woman. Okay? I'm just saying, we get that man or woman in who just decides with the stroke of a pen that they'll sign every piece of trash legislation that comes across their desk. So what's next? What's next? Mags? Triggers? Your finger? Oh, well, how about the fact that the gun is just semi-automatic anyway? Oh, well, that increases it. So, now we have to do all this and that. So, it is a dangerous thing.
It's a slippery
It's bigly dangerous.
It's bigly dangerous.
It's bigly dangerous that the NRA is supporting the regulation of bump stocks. They are a lobbying group that's supposed to be fighting for the Second Amendment, and they're supporting the erosion of a right.
But
they are supporting the banning of an inanimate object. That is the stupidest thing. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, don't forget that the NRA is bigly composed of FUDs.
Bigly
composed.
I love that
of
word,
FUDs.
actually.
I love that word. Bigly.
Well, we're bigly angry.
Bigly angry.
And you should be too. And guys, we're going to leave you with this thought. What you need to do, you need to contact all your reps. Don't assume that because you live in a state where you've got a bunch of Republican reps and you're thinking, oh, we're safe because I know they're pro-gun, I know where their stance is. Guys, there's a lot of Republicans that are caving in right now. They're getting weak-legged and they are caving in and they're going more towards the middle and over to the dark side. Don't let them. You better call them up and you better tell them that their jobs are at risk. Midterms are coming up and you will vote their butts out if they support any of this mess. Guys, we can't even let it get past the drawing board. We want them to know how ticked we are that they're selling us up the river. If you're an NRA member, call the NRA and tell them that you're fed up with their bullcrap, that you want them to protect all the rights. The Second Amendment is not this piece of paper that you can say, oh, well, I'm going to tear the corner off and I'm just going to burn that. I don't want that little portion of it. No, the Second Amendment is absolute. It's clear and it's simple. It doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about where you're from. It doesn't matter what race you are, what religion you are. The Second Amendment is absolute and concrete, and it's written plain as day in black and white. It cannot be taken any other way than the wording of that document. It is what it is. You either support it or you don't. There is no middle ground. There is no compromise, nothing, because it doesn't work that way. You can't just cherry pick parts of it that you want to fit your crooked little political pandering and backdoor pocket padding and old cricket Washington politics.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Well, it's bull crap.
We always get like on tangents and stuff, and we forget about certain things.
But call your reps. Right. That was the point. Call your reps.
HR 34, Safe Schools Act is the big one right now, okay?
Yep.
Now, I saw this picture earlier, and I was just so appalled about these students who were protesting in front of the White House. All right. It says row of students.
Don't say it all.
I'm not going to say it all because, oh boy. But, all right, so one of them, all right, hey, I'm just a student. I'm a high school student. I'm protesting gun violence. Okay. Already 18 shootings in 2018. Wake up. Well, guess what? That's fake news put out by Everytown for Gun Safety.
Right.
They included accidental firearms discharges that just happened even on the property itself.
Right.
Like one guy committed suicide in a car on the school grounds, and they counted that as a school shooting. This is the kind of people that are protesting stuff who don't even have a clue what's really going on.
They will always go out of their way to manipulate the data to fit their agenda.
Protect our lives,
the
not
thing
your
is,
guns.
The devil's in the data, okay? The data is what it is. Data can be manipulated to go either direction, but only the anti-gun side has to manipulate data in such a dishonest way to even try to make what even begins to be a point for their argument. But when pro-gun people start throwing data out there, guess what? Our data is just, there it is. We don't have to manipulate anything because it's quite simple. If you look up the true data, gun control does not work. So anyway, guys, I know this video could be a lot longer, but we wanted to make it. A lot of people have been asking us to do a video on this subject and to get something out. We've been kind of like sitting back and watching everything that's going on and seeing kind of what people are saying and sort of just paying attention to both sides. And guys, when we make these videos, I try to make them from a perspective of, you know, I'm a guy who loves my country and I care deeply for the Second Amendment and I don't want any of it. I care bigly for it. And I don't want any of my Second Amendment rights to be eroded or yours. I don't want to take your rights away. If you're a student that's out there holding up a sign or whatever, I don't want to take away your First Amendment rights to protest. You feel like you need to protest, then protest. But know that rights are absolute. And I don't believe at all in eroding those rights. So you have no right to take anything from me. You have no right to tell me how to live. And we all have to get along here. We have to understand the way our society is. We are a society of gun-owning people. Like, if you live in the United States, you live in a country where gun ownership is a part of our way of life.
Yep.
Understand that. You live here. We own this place, not you. Okay? I've been shooting guns since I was a little kid. All right? Nothing's new. I've been around guns my whole life. It's a part of my heritage. It's part of where I came from. It was a part of my grandparents and their parents before them. And it ain't going nowhere. All right? And if you can't understand that you live in a country where people are armed, it is a socially accepted practice to be a gun owner. Understand that you live here. You have to deal with it. It's a right. And you can't do anything about it. And anybody that tries to take it away, they're just wrong. It's not going to happen. So, guys, contact your reps. I know this video could go on forever, but contact your reps and tell them that you will fire them if they support any of this crap. Don't let it get any further. And I mean that bigly.
Nonsense.
It is nonsense. Guys, hopefully you saw some of the humor in this video. I mean, I know there's no laughing matter, but we try to have fun. I mean, when we're mad, sometimes we kind of, you know, we get a little goofy too, but it's okay to have a little fun and make it a little bit entertaining, but also understanding the serious side of what we're dealing with. It's a very, very odd time going on right now. There's a lot of different emotions flaring in every direction, but when you sit back and look at it, the thing to remember is that the Second Amendment is not about emotion. It doesn't care about your feelings. The Second Amendment is there for you to protect yourself, and you have to look at it from that standpoint. It takes a calm, cool head to just look at it in black and white for what it is, and to understand the ways that you can use that to move forward. And that's all we can do. Emotions are high, I understand, but you have to look at things logically. And that's all we're asking people to do, is to look at things logically and hold the people accountable that you elect, and hold the groups accountable that you support, whether it's GOA or whether it's NRA. We haven't mentioned GOA in this entire video, but I'm going to tell you one thing right now. Eric Pratt and the guys at the GOA, They're knocking it out of the park, and they're doing a good job, because you know what they're doing? They're doing the same kind of crap that we're doing right now. They are talking to people. They are preaching the validity and importance of the Second Amendment as a concrete and inexhaustible right that will always be there. So yeah, GOA, they're doing a great job. You guys are doing great. I see the email blasts. I see all the stuff Eric Pratt's putting out, and he's doing a great job, and he needs to keep doing it. He needs to keep holding pressure on all these people. We need to discover who the rhinos are, and we need to hold the pressure to them, put their feet to the fire.
Well,
they're scared of us. Don't think they're not.
I'm going to give the GOA an A+ rating, and I'm going to give the NRA a bigly F rating.
Yes, bigly. Guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I know we kind of got long and kind of went bigly in a few other different directions, but we thank you bigly for watching, very much so, very bigly. And you know, we always, anytime something like this comes up, we'll always make a gripe. We'll always talk about it, and we appreciate all of the folks on our channel that support us in all the different ways. Guys, if you're a Patreon supporter, thank you very much. If you buy shirts over on Forge from Freedom, the funds that we get from those shirt sales, obviously they allow us to continue to put out content, to continue to entertain and educate. So thank you if you purchase shirts. If you purchase things like man cans from us, all of the funds we get from those sales go straight into supporting the channel and allowing us to keep this content flowing. So you guys are great, and thank you very much if you're a part of that.
And guys, too, you know, a lot of folks were like pressuring us to make video on the subject that, you know, is very recent. Just remember that we try to create an informed, you know, video for you guys. We have to be informed about things, and we have to see what's actually going on before we jump right into things. So if something like this happens, just give us a little bit of time, okay? That's all we ask. Just a little bit of time to kind of gather our thoughts on it, see what's going on, collect the data, and provide you guys with factual information, because that's what we're all about. So.
That's the big part of the way we put these videos out. And we know we do try to kind of see things for what they are, and just to try to look at both sides of the equation as best we can. So thank you for watching today's video. Have a great day. Protect your life. You know, strap on a gun and go in the world and just be an armed person and protect yourself. And don't worry about it. Don't worry about what all the bad people in the world do, because you are responsible for your own safety in your own world. You create the world you live in, and you protect it. It's simple. Very, very simple. So thanks for watching today's video. We'll see you next time. We've got many more videos on the way, more gun gripes, more 5 guns. We got a lot of gunsmithing stuff we've been filming. We've been doing some reloading stuff that'll be coming up before too long. Also, plenty of range reviews. We just filmed a bunch of shotgun stuff. Lots of cool things coming down. So be sure to check it out and subscribe. And also follow us over on Facebook, over at IRAC Veteran 8888 Official. Guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.